Hi, it's Rich and Naomi here from Radio Aire Breakfast. This morning on the show we spoke to Zoe, who's in a bit of a predicament.
Her friend Sarah contacted us on Facebook to tell us about the fact that she'd gone on holiday, Zoe had, to Spain, and ended up having her baby girl 13 weeks early.
They're desperately running out of cash and facing a homeless shelter just so that they can be close to the baby, and we're trying to help. So please help us spread Zoe's story. Send it to anyone that you can, and let's see if we're able to do something for her. If you know anyone who's got accommodation that they might be able to help with, you can email us breakfast@radioaire.com. This is Zoe from this morning's show, and she can tell you her story.
We landed on a Thursday. I went into labour on the Friday. Bearing in mind I was only 27 weeks. So by the time I actually gone to the hospital on the Saturday, I'd already was dilated, but because she was breech, I couldn't give birth naturally, so I had to have an emergency cesarean. So with all that happening, because she was that premature as well, I didn't even see her until like 28 hours after she was born. So the whole 28 hours, I didn't even know if she was alive or not. When I finally got to see her, which was on a Sunday, everything was okay. She needed an operation on her intestines because of the hole there, which needed repairing. So at the moment, she has part of her intestines on her skin. She'll need another operation to put her intestines back in. We also found out she had a bleed on the brain. We're actually still waiting for the results of that as well. While she's in the hospital, where travelling there each day, I've had a complication with my cesarean as well, so I've got to go to the hospital every day and go to the emergency side and get my wounds checked out. So at the moment, it's just a case of living each day by day, and actually trying to find out where and when we can actually stay in accommodation. For the money's not stretching that far, so we basically need the funds to be able to stay over here and actually stay next to her and eat and live, basically. I mean, it sounds quite small because some people have worse situations than we do, but it's still really, really hard for us to actually be able to cope with it being in a different country. That the language barrier is really, really hard. So any help from anybody would be much, really appreciated for us all three of us.
It doesn't sound small at all to me, Zoe. It sounds absolutely terrifying.
It is terrifying. I mean, waking up each day, hoping that there's not a phone call or a missed call on our phone. But even when we go to the hospital as well, sometimes things have changed, got different wiring. We panic with that as well because we don't know what that wire's for. And then trying to ask them as well, there's just no idea what we're saying. So then we've got to try and wait for the interpreters to find out, and then usually it's something small, but then sometimes it's something else because she can't breathe on her own. So she's got her own breathing tubes on at the moment. Have
you been able to hold her yet, Zoe?
I've not. No, I don't think I'll be able to hold her for about 4 weeks yet. I'm trying not to actually get my hopes up about that at the moment, so that I've kind of pushed it aside and try not to get too upset about that, because obviously most mothers get that moment within seconds of birth, but I've got to wait. Well, me and my partner have got to wait for at least 4 weeks until she's able to breathe on her own.
So, Zoe, I mean, at the moment, you're effectively sort of stranded, really, in Spain right now.
We are absolutely stranded. Worst holiday ever. I wouldn't wish it on anybody to go through this, but we've been getting loads of support from family, and they're all doing their best, seeing what they can do at home. Hopefully a miracle will come through and we'll be able to just get back home soon after she's better.
If money dries up and the accommodation dries up, I believe that the hospital were able to provide for a few days, and I know that your mother-in-law is a couple of hours away from Alicante, which is where your daughter is at the moment. What's going to be your option then?
If and when the funds run out, we have been speaking to the British consulate, and they can arrange for a 6-day accommodation in a homeless shelter, but we don't know whereabouts that is. We don't know if it's a safe environment. We don't know if there'll be 100 people in the same room. We've literally got everything that we came on holiday with. We've got our suitcases with us and everything, so things could be stolen. Anything could happen, but if push comes to shove, we will have to go there as well. But that's only for 6 days.
Zoe, if everything goes to plan with the operations and everything, how soon do you think you would be able to come home?
Even if everything went fine and everything went smoothly, we would still have to wait until she would be 37 weeks, as if she was still in my room. So we still have to wait for that long, which is just beginning of May, end of April. So we've still got a while ahead, but with the operation as well, I think it's added on time. I think we'll be here till June.
Zoe, I've been thinking about you so much since we heard about this. How are you doing?
It's kind of hard to actually say how I feel. I mean, after a while, you end up feeling quite numb, just purely because you don't know how to feel. You don't know how things are going to turn out at the hospital. I mean, I've been thinking quite negatively, just in case any news that they give me is potentially good news. But we are coping. I mean, just seeing her moving about is actually quite heartwarming itself, because you're seeing your daughter move, and you think to yourself that yes, you're doing okay today. But then sometimes you can go in and think, well, why is she not moving? And then you think to yourself, oh no, she's just asleep actually. So, but it's quite hard to actually determine feelings when you're in this kind of situation. I kind of got it in my mindset that I need to be strong for Olivia, so it's her that needs my strength.
I can't imagine how you must be coping, your coping mechanisms at the moment, but you sound incredibly held together, if you know what I mean.
The amount of times that I've cried one after another. I mean, honestly, I've probably used the whole tree with the amount of tears that I've actually come out. I mean, I'm not really a religious person, but for the first time before she went for the operation, I prayed. I really did pray just to make sure that she's okay. And I felt that my prayers were actually answered. But at the moment, she's fighting. She's fighting for her life.